Dear friends, English literature, romantic poetry, selected poems of Percy B. Shelley, Adonis, brief questions with answers. Brief questions 64 to 113. Question 64. Why does corruption wait at the door of the grave? Answer. Corruption waits at the door of the grave to follow Keats in his last journey into the dark grave. Question 65. What does corruption represent? Answer. Corruption represents rotting. Question 66. What is the eternal hunger? Answer. The inevitable law of decay and dissolution are personified as eternal hunger. Question 67. To whom does Shelley compare Keats? Answer. Shelley metaphorically compares Keats to a dead shepherd. Question 68. To what does Shelley compare Keats' poetic fancies? Answer. Shelley compares Keats' poetic fancies to sheep. Question 69. Where does a shepherd usually feed his flock of sheep? Answer. A shepherd usually feeds his flock of sheep on the green pastures by riverside. Question 70. Why does Shelley compare Keats to a dead shepherd? Answer. The mourning sheep of the dead shepherd wander no more on the pastures. Similarly, Keats' fancies, dreams will not more pass from his brain to the reader's brain as he is dead now. Question 71. Why do Keats' dream lament their sad lot? Answer. Keats' dreams lament their sad lot as they will never be shared with anyone. Question 72. How does one of the dreams fan did Keats? Answer. One of the dreams fans did Keats with her silvery wings. Question 73. Why does one of the dreams fan did Keats? Answer. She fans did Keats, thinking him to have only fainted and not died. Question 74. Why does one of the dreams think that Keats is alive? Answer. She thinks Keats alive, living, because she sees a tear in his eyes and mistakes that the tear is coming out of happy thoughts of his living brain. Question 75. With what did one of the dreams wash the limbs of Keats? Answer. One of the dreams washed the limbs of Keats with silvery dew. Question 76. What is anadim? Answer. It is a rich garland. Question 77. Why does one of the dreams cut off her hair? Answer. One of the dreams cut off her hair off to make a wreath anadim for Keats' head. Question 78. Why does one of the dreams break her bow and arrow? Answer. One of the dreams breaks her bow and arrow out of grief. Question 79. What does one of the dreams who descended on the dead lips do? Answer. She kisses his dead lips. Question 80. From what does the dream deliver vitality? Answer. She used to deliver vitality from the contact with Keats' lips. Question 81. To what does Shelley compare Keats' last words? Answer. Shelley compares Keats' last words to a dying meteor. Question 82. What abstract qualities of poetic mind mourn the death of Keats? The abstract qualities of poetic mind mourn the death of Keats are desires, adorations, winged persuasions, destinies, splendors, glooms, incarnations, fantasies, sorrow, sighs, and pleasures. Question 83. What are desires? Answer. Desires are the passions or emotions which stimulate poetic thoughts. Question 84. What are adorations? Answer. Adorations are the feelings of love and pity which are the key to poetic perception. Question 85. What are winged persuasions? Answer. They are thoughts and emotions so passionately expressed that they appeal to the hearts of the readers. Question 86. What are veiled destinies? Answer. They are the forces which govern the course of human life. Question 87. What are splendors? Answer. They are pictorial images. Question 88. What are glooms? Answer. They are melancholy ideas. Question 89. What are twilight fantasies? Answer. They are dimly conceived mental images. Question 90. What is pleasure? Answer. Pleasure refers to a poetic joy. Question 91. Why is the eyesight of pleasure lost? Her eyesight is lost because of her weeping so much for the death of kids. Question 92. What powers of nature mourn the death of kids? Answer. The powers of nature that mourn the death of kids are morning, thunder, ocean, wind, echo, spring, and hyacinth and narcissus. Question 93. How does morning mourn the death of kids? Answer. Morning mourns the death of kids with her hair unbound and wet with tears. Question 94. What are the aerial eyes? Answer. The aerial eyes refers to the sun. Question 95. How does the thunder mourn the death of kids? Answer. The thunder mourns and is sad with grief. Question 96. How does the ocean mourn the death of kids? Answer. The ocean is pale with grief because of the death of kids. Question 97. How do the wind mourn the death of kids? Answer. The winds are mad with grief because of the death of kids. Question 98. Who is Echo? Answer. Echo is a nymph of the trees and springs. Question 99. What is the effect of kids' death on Echo? Answer. Echo is so depressed. I repeat, Echo is so depressed about kids' death that she decides not to respond to wind, fountains, bird, grass, the herdman's horn, or bells that ring at the end of the day. Question 100. How does spring mourn the death of kids? Answer. Because of the death of kids, spring is wild with grief, and it makes her throw her flower buds down, as if she was autumn who kills the birds. Question 101. Why doesn't spring care for the beauty of nature? Answer. Because of the death of kids, spring is grief-stricken. As kids is no more, spring does not care for bringing fresh air and beauty to the gloomy aspect of nature. Question 102. Who is Phoebus? Answer. Phoebus is the sun god known as Apollo. Question 103. With whom did Phoebus fall in love? Answer. Phoebus fell in love with the handsome young Hyacinthus. Question 104. Who is Hyacinth? Answer. It is Hyacinthus, the handsome youth with whom Phoebus fell in love and accidentally killed him in a game of quoits. Phoebus turned his blood into hyacinth flowers. Question 105. Who is Narcissus? Answer. Narcissus is the handsome young man who rejected the love of Echo and fell in love with his own reflection in a pool and died watching his reflection and changed into a narcissus flower. Question 106. What is the spirit sister? Answer. It is the nightingale from Keats' Ode to a Nightingale. Question 107. Why is the nightingale called the sister to the soul of Keats? Answer. The nightingale is called the sister to the soul of Keats because his soul was so musical and melancholy as the soul of nightingale. Question 108. How does England mourn the death of Keats? Answer. England mourns the death of Keats more than the nightingale's mourning for the death of her mate and the mother eagle's mourning for the loss of her young ones. Question 109. What is Albion? Answer. Albion is the oldest name for the island of Britain. Question 110. Who was Cain? Answer. Cain was the son of Adam and Eve. He committed the first murder by killing his brother Abel. Question 111. What was the curse of Cain? Answer. The curse was that the earth would not produce for him and he would be a fugitive and wanderer on the earth. Question 112. Whom does Shelley hold responsible for the death of Keats? Answer. Shelley holds the reviewer John Wilson Crooker responsible for the death of Keats. Question 113. What was the root cause of Keats' death? Answer. Tuberculosis was the root cause of Keats' death. Thank you friends for watching my video.